One last thing to discuss about the male reproductive system are the reproductive hormones, the hormones that are important for the development and regulation of male sexual function. It all begins with a hormone called gonadotropin-releasing hormone that comes from the hypothalamus of the brain. Gonadotropin-releasing hormone is found at relatively low levels in boys, but as they reach the onset of puberty, we see an increase in gonadotropin-releasing hormone. Gonadotropin-releasing hormone goes to the anterior pituitary gland, and it stimulates the pituitary gland to release two important hormones. First, luteinizing hormone that affects the testes by stimulating the interstitial cells to produce testosterone. The second hormone that's released by the anterior pituitary gland is follicle-stimulating hormone. Follicle-stimulating hormone used to be dismissed as largely a female hormone, but it has a very important role to play in men as well. Follicle-stimulating hormone is necessary for the testes to respond to testosterone. Testosterone is needed to stimulate sperm production, but the testes will not respond to testosterone unless they have follicle-stimulating hormone. Let's take a closer look at testosterone itself. Testosterone is produced both by the interstitial cells in the testes, by the outer layer of the adrenal glands that sit on top of the kidneys. In men, so much testosterone comes from the testes that the contribution of the adrenal glands is insignificant. However, women also need a small amount of testosterone, and since women don't have testes, their testosterone comes from those adrenal glands. Testosterone has many important functions. A few of them include the fact that it stimulates spermatogenesis. It stimulates the production of sperm when follicle-stimulating hormone is present. It's also responsible for the development of the secondary sex characteristics in men. These are the things that we think of that make a man male. Things like the growth of body hair in the armpits, the groin, and the facial hair. Also, the thickening of the vocal cords that leads to the deeper voice in men. The bone and muscle development leading to the deeper chests and wider shoulders in men, as well as the higher bone density and the greater muscle mass. And also an increase in red blood cell production, which we saw when we were talking about the difference in hematocrit between men and women way back in the blood unit. Another way that testosterone is important for reproduction is that it increases the libido. It increases the desire to have sex, so you're more likely to have sex and more likely to achieve a pregnancy. Something I find interesting is that in general, men are most interested in having sex when they're fertile. When are men fertile? All the time. That's why a lot of men are interested in having sex all the time. Their hormones are telling them that they're fertile, so it's time to have sex to achieve a pregnancy. Women are also, in general, most interested in having sex on the days that they're most fertile. How often is that? A few days a month. Women are most interested in having sex a few days a month when they're fertile. Men are most interested in having sex all the time when they're fertile. The last thing that I want you to know about testosterone is how it's regulated. Testosterone suppresses the release of GnRH, gonadotropin-releasing hormone. When you have high levels of testosterone in the body, the testosterone goes to the hypothalamus and it blocks the release of gonadotropin-releasing hormone so that you release less luteinizing hormone and you reduce the amount of testosterone produced. When testosterone levels get lower, there's not enough testosterone to block gonadotropin-releasing hormone, so GnRH is released. That causes the release of the luteinizing hormone, which stimulates the release of testosterone from the interstitial cells. It's a nice negative feedback mechanism for helping to regulate the level of testosterone.